It was pretty fast, right? I mean, you think about again how
Yeah.
the policy of really attacking immigration, it got laid out early, and then within a couple months, 6 months, 8 months, the deployment of ICE just has had a real impact on our community, the youth that
Yeah.
we work with, and their families. To me, this isn't about politics. It's about humanity. You can build policy that has humanity embedded in it, right? And that's been my greatest. That's what's been causing the most anger. It's just that yes, we understood we had an immigration issue, but it wasn't new, right? And so with problems that large and complicated, taking some time to build out policy that again has the best interest of the actual people on the other side of these actions, to have their well being in mind, despite again how someone may have entered the U.S. Like some grace would have been awesome,
Yeah.
right? And so the lack of that being considered and watching the impact on kids
Yeah.
who go to school and then come home and the parents aren't there. What we've seen our kids and our families going through and have been tasked to try to support as best as possible. I mean, some stories are one of our students went in for a customary ticket, teenager, and the case was like acquitted. There was no incident, license fine, but apparently pinged on the radar with ICE. So leaving courtroom, picked up by ICE, detained, was in detainment for 3 to 5 months, bopped around everywhere. Baltimore, Salisbury, Texas. All right. And I mean, thank goodness the end of that story it's been a positive one thus far, right? Was able to get an opportunity to work through the citizenship process. But I mean, how scary must it have been, away from home and obviously for her family members and parents. It was just a really, really hard thing. And her mentor, again, just not knowing, her well being. But again, to the resiliency of someone like this student who went into the situation, obviously starting off terrified, but while in detainment, she utilized her bilingual skills to help other people get through their processing and paperwork. And, so much so got into making the most of the situation and utilizing her gifts. It was time for her to come home. She got it up, the judge allowed her to come home, and she wanted to stay a bit longer to help this one elderly woman get herself processed. So again, despite the evil of a lot of these policies and actions, like there's still people being resilient and still showing humanity, though they've been disregarded of being deserving of it. A lot of our demographic is young Hispanic girls. We are seeing it, and with my new colleague Jennifer Codd, who's overseeing the scholars program. She's been amazing at recruitment, and we're seeing some young boys into the program as well. But so again, this issue has been something that we hear it directly from our students. Another student's parent was detained, headed to work one morning, and young girl had to drive past her mother's car abandoned on the side of the road, and just obviously the first thing that hits mind is like, what's wrong? What happened? Where is she? Like again, and these are real humans, and youth with multiple siblings in the family, and you just think about all the logistics and the disruption and the fear and trauma that causes. Again, I worked with a mentor who was her student was one of my older students who went into detainment, and again, just the day-to-day, weekly discussions and kind of support you try to have for people who've invested in relationship with these youth and these families, and to see their lives upended abruptly, and just have deep concerns. It's been a lot to process. Yes, we understand there's a problem with our system, or the immigration system. Cool, let's improve it. But those folks who have been here, especially those law-abiding, those contributing to the community, their adds to the community, right? Give a runway. All you have to do is say, here, you have a year. If you're here illegally, get in the process of getting your citizenship. We know it's complicated. We're going to work on trying to make it less complicated. If you're here, you have a criminal record, it's best that you leave as soon as possible and turn yourself in.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like it didn't have to be this.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be this. We always, with Talbot Mentors, have a focus on, trauma-informed practices, right? Just being aware that our youth, some of our mentors, many of us, right, have been impacted by trauma. And with that awareness, just trying to provide educational situations, opportunities for folks to learn about, the impacts of negative life experiences, right? And also how healing positive ones can be. So again, we try to be a resource. Chess MRC is an amazing local organization doing this work. And again, they've been doing their best to try to connect folks with pro bono lawyers and getting counsel on what your rights are. And so again, we try to, if we don't have the resources internally as Talbot Mentors, we try to connect our families who are being impacted by this to, the proper channels.